Hey everyone, it's Thrifting Time. In this episode, we'll start with one of my favorite Goodwill stores, and it's one of my favorites because right next to it is this really weird abandoned corridor that I always like to check out while I'm here, and we'll check it out after we're done checking out the store. Over with the DVDs, I found a copy of Gremlins 2, the new batch, and I love this movie, and I noticed that it didn't have a back, so I opened it up, and this is actually a former Blockbuster rental. You can see the logo there stamped into the plastic. I love this movie, and I did a quick check a while back, and this is not a movie that's available for free on any streaming service, so I went ahead and grabbed this copy. It was only $1.29. Over with the video games, they had a plethora of Nintendo Wii shovelware, like Cold Stone Creamery's Scoop It Up, for example. I've never heard of that game before. Here's Smarty Pants. I have no idea what this is, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not a complete set collector for any of the systems I collect for, because could you imagine owning Space Chimps? There's no good reason to own that game. Over in the CDs, I found this Boys to Men Christmas Interpretation CD, and this was actually filmed during Christmas time, so I went ahead and grabbed this. I didn't have any Christmas music CDs, and I thought that one would be interesting. Now here's a copy of Infopedia 2.0 for Microsoft Windows, and this is basically like a Dollar General version of Microsoft Encarta. You can see it only requires a 486 system here to run. Now I know I just shit on Wii shovelware a few seconds ago, but I do kind of collect these cheap soft key software releases, so I went ahead and grabbed that. Here's a copy of Norton Uninstall Deluxe. That's interesting to see, but I don't need that. And there was also a game over here as well. Here's Worms Triple Pack. This is kind of cool. I didn't grab this because I already have all three of these games, but I always do love finding old PC games at Goodwill. I'll just leave this here for somebody else. Apparently they were doing the Scholastic Book Fair over in the book section. They had a ton of copies of the Babysitter's Club books. I don't know how many of these books they made, but I bet this is a good chunk of them here. What do we got here? Ooh, Dawn and the Older Boy. Do kids even read the Babysitter's Club anymore? Is this something that girls are into? I really did enjoy the Scholastic Book Fair when I was a kid. I was kind of hoping I'd find a Lamborghini Countach poster, but no. They also had some of the Boxcar Children books, and I had completely forgotten about these as well. I actually did read a few of these when I was a kid. I don't know if I read the Pizza Mystery, though. They even have one of the video game books they would have at the Scholastic Book Fair. This one's all-time gaming records. When I was a kid, they had the Worlds of Power books at the Scholastic Book Fair, and I did used to buy those. Speaking of video games, over in the toy section, they had this Splatoon gun. I think this actually does shoot some sort of little paintball things or something. The problem is they probably don't make them or sell them anymore. Also in the toy section was this Pandemic Rapid Response game. When I was looking at this, I was really thinking, did they really think people wanted to buy a pandemic board game during the pandemic? That's kind of weird, and it seems like kind of cashing in, but then I looked at the year that this came out. They also had this Careers board game from Parker Brothers. Look, you can be a sports star or a Hollywood star or get into politics. The modern version of this game would probably suck. Like, what would the careers be? Amazon driver, sitting in cubicle helping make line go up? That sounds like an awful game. Over in the electronics section, they had this CD Stomper labeling system. If you're old enough, you remember these back when you would burn your own CDs with your own music and everything, and this looked like it was complete. It had the software CD here and had the Macromedia logo on it. I haven't seen that in ages. So you got Windows 98 and Mac OS as well, so you can definitely tell what time period this was from. And on the back, there's even some examples of labels that you can print out and then use the stomper to label. Taxes 2000? That album sounds awful. Speaking of late 90s, early 2000s computer stuff, here's a MSN TV box from RCA. I don't think I actually knew anybody that had one of these, but if you're not familiar with what it is, it was a little internet device that lets you surf the web on your TV in your living room. It looks like this set is complete as well. It's got the little infrared keyboard in there, it's got the user manuals, there's even a bunch of phone cords in there. I have seen some videos on YouTube recently of people trying to get these up and running again, and this was tempting to grab, but I don't need this thing laying around collecting dust. I have noticed an increase of Live, Laugh, Love artwork appearing in Goodwill stores, and that makes me happy because I really dislike it. I think it's super tacky. I'm glad that people are getting rid of it. Let's go ahead and head out of this store and go check out that weird abandoned corridor I was talking about. So here's the corridor that I was talking about, and the shopping center that this Goodwill is in is actually mostly empty now. Many years ago, there was a Fry's grocery store in here, and there was a Joann Fabrics. There's still an old map here, but really not much of what's listed on here is left. The Rainbow Fashion store to the right is still open, and there is still a Sally Beauty Supply in here. But all of the storefronts down this corridor are closed up now. Every time I come through here, it's a little bit worse, and it's really gotten bad now. I did a live stream from here several years ago, and I think the video from that live stream is still up, and if it is, I'll put a link to it up in the top of the screen there. The trees are a lot less full than they used to be. This whole area back here is really kind of creepy though, especially at night. And it's always damp. Because the trees have been trimmed so far back now, you can really see the sky through the top there. I really like the way the black sky looks contrasted against the white walls in here. There are definitely a lot more boarded up windows now than the last time I was here. That whole side there is really bad. There used to be trees all throughout here. I'm pretty sure they were still there the last time I had come through here. One thing you can't tell from the footage here is how awful it smells throughout this corridor. It reeks of piss pretty heavily. It hadn't rained recently when this was filmed, so I'm pretty sure all the puddles that are around are just from somebody coming through here maybe once a day and hosing the area out to try and cut back on the smell a little bit. But I don't think these storefronts are ever going to be leased out again. I think that'll wrap up this little exploring side quest though. Let's go check out another thrift store. This is the Goodwill that's in the same shopping center as the Savers thrift store, so we'll check out the Goodwill first and then we'll go check out the Savers. Like I mentioned earlier, this footage is from around Christmas time, so you're going to see a lot of Christmas stuff. For example, it looks like they pulled out all of the Christmas cassette tapes. I'm not looking for Christmas cassette tapes, but I was, like I said, looking for a couple of CDs with Christmas music on them, and I found another one here. Here's a promotional CD from True Value Hardware. I remember when stores used to give things out like this. It doesn't seem like they really do that anymore. There was a coupon inside for Duracell batteries, and it expired in January of 1998, so this CD is from Christmas 1997. I went ahead and grabbed this. Over in the toy section, they had a bunch of Star Wars toys that somebody dumped off. What I thought was interesting about this one is that it still had a Kmart price tag left on it. And there's only a few Kmarts left in the United States, and definitely none in the Phoenix area. Here's some more of the smaller sealed action figures that they had around. I'm guessing these all belong to one person and they just got tired of them and dumped them off here. And before you ask, I did look, they're not worth anything. I'm actually glad these aren't worth anything because maybe that means that a parent will be able to buy their kid a cheap toy and they'll actually enjoy it. More than likely what's going to happen though is a reseller is going to find all these, think they struck gold, and then they're going to buy them and they're going to sit in their eBay store and rot until they sell them at a loss. Do you all remember in the early 2000s when bacon for some reason became a big thing? Everything had bacon in it. Denny's was doing that Baconalia thing. I'm pretty sure that's the time period that this was from, just based upon how faded the box looks. I don't think any of these gimmicky bacon cooking devices ever actually worked very well. Yeah, cooks to perfection. I highly doubt that. Remember Disney Infinity? It looks like this one has a price tag from I think Five Below, and I'm guessing somebody bought this for $1.99 and then realized the whole game had been shut down and that you really couldn't do anything with this. And they've got it priced at $5.49. Gross. Alright, let's check out our last store of the episode. This is the Savers that's in the same shopping center as the Goodwill, and here is a bunch of ugly Christmas sweaters, and I'm not sure if somebody made all these and donated them or if the store employees here made them. But these are truly awful, and they're clearly for like those ugly Christmas sweater parties. But that's interesting to know. If you ever get invited to one of those, you don't have to make your own sweater. Apparently people make them for you. And that one's falling apart. The video game section was kind of disappointing. It was a lot of Wii, shovelware, and then Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2 sports games. Then I decided to take a look at the records, and the reason that I look at the records is not so much because I think I'm going to find an interesting record here, but I always find laser discs at Savers thrift stores. This one's a copy of A River Runs Through It, and anytime I find these, I immediately go look to see if I can find a laserdisc player, and I never do. But there were a few laserdiscs here. I always love to see these. If you've never seen a laserdisc before, this is what they look like. Kind of looks like a giant record-sized CD. Lots of pretty colors. Over in the music CDs, I found something I'm pretty sure they don't do anymore. This is a compilation of the 1996 Grammy nominees. And I'm pretty sure they don't put a CD like this out anymore for the Grammys. But there's a bunch of the nominees for the Grammys in 1996. That's kind of an interesting thing to find. I also found a couple of computer games with the music CDs. They had copies of You Don't Know Jack 2 and 3 for the PC from Sierra. I already have both of these, so I left them here. I don't like this picture. I'm pretty sure that horse is evil. Here's something I remember being all over the place in the 90s, these plastic M&M dispensers. Pull the lever down and M&Ms would come out and fall into that tray there. This is something I remember being in grandparents' house, like my grandparents had some of these. And it doesn't do anything except for dispense M&Ms. That's not a battery door on the back for like sound effects or anything, it's just a hopper to load the M&Ms in. What a silly waste of plastic. I found these bowling pin coasters, and these are simultaneously the most awesome and most awful coasters that I've ever seen. I did see these coasters also, and I actually need coasters for a table that I picked up in a previous episode of Thrifting Time, and these look like they would clean up pretty well, so I went ahead and grabbed these because they kind of fit the 90s motif I'm going for. I always like to check out the electronics section because there does seem to be more old computer stuff at Savers stores versus Goodwill. For example, they've got a USB floppy drive here. This is actually a fairly nice one. It's from Dell and it feels really solid. I actually picked this up to replace a cheap one that I bought from Amazon a few years ago that's kind of started to become flaky. I thought this black box was like a piece of old PC software, but it's more than that. It's apparently a monitor calibration system. I've never heard of these before or seen one, but they've got one here. I have no idea really what you would need this for, but stuff like this is why I like the computer and electronics section at Savers. They just seem to have weird things like this that I don't really find at Goodwill anymore. Right next to it was an Intel Easy PC camera. This is one of the earliest webcams as far as I'm aware, and looking at the back, it looks like this will work with Windows 98. And I have an old Windows 98 PC, and it looks like this thing's complete, so I ended up grabbing this as well just because it was so cheap. I figured I could mess around with it for a bit, and then when I get bored, I can just dump it back off at a thrift store. Something else I like about Savers stores is whenever I look in the toy section, there's always at least like one toy that's way older than all the other ones. This is an example of that. This is a Baby's Hungry doll. Apparently it really chews. And I started looking around the box to see if I could find a year or anything as to when this was released. And you can see here, it really chews and it really nurses, and it looks creepy as hell. Yeah, I don't like that. And as you can see, it's from 1966 from Mattel. I took a look inside, and it looks like it's just a naked doll inside there. This thing is just completely creepy, but this is what I love about checking out stuff at thrift stores, is finding weird crap like this. I also found this sitting on the shelf, and I didn't draw that was there, and I figured I'd film it because Finn is awesome, and I actually really enjoyed the Adventure Time cartoon. That's just kind of neat. Overhanging on the wall, I found a Radio Shack electronic pocket repeat bundled together with some playing cards and some sort of glow sticks. I actually already have this electronic repeat game. It's just basically a Simon game, but I have it in the box and everything already. But it's always cool to find old Radio Shack toys like this. I actually do play mine still sometimes. And here's a whole collection of those little NFL football helmets you could get out of the capsule toy machines. Looks like somebody had quite the collection going here, and most of them don't even have the stickers applied yet. Do they still sell these in the capsule toy machines? I don't feel like I've seen them in a long time. Now let's go ahead and head out of the Savers and take a look at what I picked up this episode. Alright, so here's the couple of things that I picked up this episode. I've got these coasters here, which I like because I feel like they have a very 90s aesthetic, and they go good, I think, with this table, this coffee table that I picked up a couple of episodes ago. And then I also got Gremlins here on DVD, Gremlins 2, the new batch. And I'm pretty happy to have this because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I don't think you can stream this for free on any of the streaming services. I think you have to pay to rent it digitally, like $4 or $5 or so. And I got this for $1.29. And there's bonus features on this DVD that you don't get when you just like rent it through streaming. Like there's a whole making of mockumentary on here that's pretty funny, and there's some gag reels and stuff. So I'm pretty happy to have this because I love Gremlins 2. The one thing I am annoyed about is this label adhesive. I don't know if that's coming across in the camera. I cannot get it off of here. I've tried Goo Gone, rubbing alcohol, all kinds of stuff, but it is just like permanently embedded into the plastic. So that's a little bit annoying, but I was able to get the Goodwill price tag off at least. Then we got a couple of CDs here. I grabbed this Infopedia 2.0, which this will be fun to screw around with on one of my old computers. I know I can use it on my Windows 98 PC, but will this run? Where's the operating system requirements? Will this run in Windows 3.1? Because that would be cool. Oh, it will. So I may mess around with this on one of my really old computers. And then a couple of Christmas music CDs that I grabbed here, which I had to go dig these out of my Christmas decor box in the garage because I had already put my Christmas stuff away for the year, and now I'm just now filming this. So, yep, that's the couple of things that I grabbed this episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of Thrifting Time. As always, thanks for watching. Want to see your name here? Head on over to patreon.com/retailarchaeology to find out how you can help support the channel. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this episode of Thrifting Time. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure to follow at the social media links down there because that's the best way to keep up with what's going on with the Retail Archaeology channel.